Hello and welcome. Today I'm thinking about authority, specifically about issues with authority, and how what that refers to is a person who has problems following the rules and directions of people in power. But I think that we all have issues with authority in a different way with regard to our own authority. And full disclosure, I've been having a tough stretch and I'm trying to pry myself up out of the muck. And I've been going through the things that I check in with to see where I'm at. And as I went along, let's see what I got. I got my physiology, which is all about am I getting enough sleep, water, fresh air, activity, focus, what's my mindset, like where am I putting my attention? Am I minding the context? Am I approaching things with curiosity? Am I taking action? Where's my focus? Emotions, in terms of being able to identify and name them, to embrace them, to ask questions, to laugh, cry, scream, etc., to map them out and journal and even talk if I need to. Although in emotions, it's almost better to take the words out with emotions. It's better to be in a feeling state rather than a verbal state. So I put talk at the end of the list. Checking in with my senses, what's going on with my environment, the company I keep, the media I consume, substances. What else is on here? Oh, feeling, like in terms of tactile things. How do I feel in my skin? Like, how do the clothes feel? How does the temperature feel? Right? And narrative, the story about, well, let's read what I wrote. Story about my past, present, and future. Story about me and my identity, my purpose, place, value, mission. What else I got on here? Values, principles, and again, context. What context am I operating in? This is how I end up saying you have to zoom out, because if you don't take in the whole context, we're missing really critical information. And then something interesting came up. I decided to list authority. I'm like, who's the boss of me, right? What authority do I actually have to respond to? Obviously, I have responsibilities and I'm answerable to those. And there are laws and social norms and I'm answerable to those. But I think this is where it came up for me, that we forget authority is a lot about us as much as it's about others. And under authority, I listed, here, let me do it in the big print because I don't feel like messing with my glasses. Under authority, I listed responsibility and accountability, because part of authority is whether it's somebody else or it's us, we have to be able to respond to things effectively and be accountable for what happens on our watch. And there are a lot of little slippery ways in which we as humans like to wiggle off the hook or make excuses for why we didn't step up. And sometimes there are valid reasons, but I think more often than not, we're probably making excuses for why we didn't take responsibility or why we're having trouble being accountable for something. And that's part of our personal authority, to say I'm the kind of person who can respond effectively, take accountability for what happened on my watch, and keep rolling. That's a certain kind of self-authority that we need to have. Authority also involves rights. Who's in power? Who's entitled to what? Who has a natural right to something? And I think that we shortchange ourselves on our rights. A lot of us. Some of us assume they're entitled to more than they are, but I think a lot of us really end up shortchanging ourselves on what we do have a right to. And it's simple things like a right to decline an invitation, or to say that something's making us uncomfortable, or to remove ourselves from a situation. And these are more than rights. These are responsibilities if we want to be well with ourselves and have healthy relationships with others. We need to be aware of these things and, again, responsible and accountable for them. This is how we build authority with ourselves. Permission. I could do a whole long piece on permission. This is one where we always think of permission as being external, that we have to seek the approval and the validation and the consent of others to make choices for ourselves in our own lives. People don't have to live the lives we live. They don't have to live with the consequences, be they favorable or negative. We do. And I think that we often fail to give ourselves permission and then get into situations where we seek permission from others in terms of like, is it okay? Do you think it's a good idea that what do you think of me taking this job? I can't decide between these things. What do you think? And we're looking for permission. Sometimes we're looking for permission to break our own rules too. Like, we'll say things like, "Oh, I'm trying not to eat too many sweets right now," as if to say to somebody, "Tell me it's okay to do that," right? And yeah, we end up displacing our own authority onto others when it comes to giving ourselves permission to do or not do things. Again, being able to say, look, this is my limit. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not inclined to do the following. This is about giving ourselves permission to exert our own will in the world and to not look to others to make those important personal choices for us. That gives us power, as well as authority is power. It's a kind of power, and we have a natural drive to feel empowered in this life. So this is part of it. Authority is also action steps. It's planning and resourcing and executing on things and saying, I'm going to make a list. I'm going to figure out what I need to do in order to complete the things on that list. And then I'm going to go take action to apply those resources to those tasks to accomplish whatever it is I've set out to do. And in that, I become my own boss. I'm answerable to myself, to my list. And I have to write lists. This is part of how I fell out of phase with myself, is I got busy and I stopped taking the time to write out where I need to put my attention in a day. And when I do that, it's like having marching orders. It's all of a sudden I'm clear on what needs to be accomplished. I see the relationship between things that need to get done. So let's say these are things I'm going to do around the house while I'm getting ready to go out. These are the things I'm going to do while I'm out and about. When I get back, I'm going to do the following things, and I group things, and I know what to do. And I basically treat that list as though it's my boss. Like, okay, boss, I'll go get that done. And in the end, I know subconsciously and consciously that I'm the one who issued the orders and executed on them, and that I have authority at every level in that process. And so some of it's just taking action. And I think that what we get from this is a freedom from seeking approval, validation, feedback, authorization from others, a freedom to act according to our own inner voice. It gives us the freedom to sit and listen, to get to know that inner voice. A lot of us don't even know what we want. We think we do, but going from impulse to urge to a reaction we have to somebody's response is not the same as knowing what we want and pursuing it. It's like being a pinball instead of, I don't know, something with aim, an arrow, let's say an arrow. And we need to be able to give ourselves permission to grant ourselves the authority to sit in the quiet and listen to our own voice and live by that we have this freedom to live authentically by what we need and what we have to bring to this world. And I just feel like that kind of freedom is ever more scarce when I look around and see people really needing to be able to get likes, get views, get feedback on their selfies, whatever it might be. I think we become enslaved to that, and I think we deserve greater freedom in our lives and autonomy, the ability to say, I'm on my own. I don't need I others to come in start over. I don't have or need others to come in at this moment and tell me how to plan my day or how to resource it or how to execute on it. I get to move unhindered, unhitched. I'm just free to go ahead again, back to freedom. But it's this sense of acting from within, not just being free from the things around me, but knowing that within myself, I can get myself started. Self-starter, right? We say this is a good trait to have, is to be a self-starter. Be able to act autonomously and of one's own volition with self-knowledge and clarity. These things give us authority in our lives. And agency, the sense that I am the agent. I am my own advocate. I'm my own boss. I'm my own laborer. I'm my own manager. I'm the person who affects these things in my life. There are things that happen beyond me. A lot of things, most things that happen are beyond me. But for the things that I have any kind of authority or influence over, then I am the agent and I have agency there. And in doing that, I assume, exercise, and thereby possess a power in my life that we talk about feeling powerless. I think it's the loss of these things that leave us feeling powerless. Yes, we're in a big system that doesn't know us as the people we are or care for us on a personal level. We're in an environment that is so much larger than us and is more or less indifferent to whether or not we get washed away in the floodwaters. So many things beyond us. But there's all these other things that we can look at and say, I have the ability to look at the things that help me to stay present and active and engaged and to have that sense of agency, to have that sense of power. And from that, I do become an authority. I become an authority on who I am, what's good for me, where I need to be, how I need to get there, what I need to provide for that, how I'm going to execute on that. Ideas about confidence, I think, are on founded on the wrong premises. I think that if we have self-knowledge and we act with authority in our lives, there is a natural confidence that arises as a natural consequence of existing in that way. And people will tell me I seem confident. I have all kinds of insecurities, all kinds of hang-ups, but I do have an abiding confidence in my ability to take the reins of my life and steer it in a different direction. And some days it's unwieldy. Some days I can't direct it exactly where I want, but I know that I can give myself the permission to be where I am, hold my ground, and push through to the place where I can apply this and I can feel that I have these powers and that I am ultimately one of the final authorities in my life. Again, outside influences, laws, social norms, there are constraints, but I think that our biggest problem with authority is not taking ownership of our own authority over ourselves and our lives. And I just want to make a case for why making the effort to reclaim this is beneficial. And I'm going to be working on that. And if anything else comes up, I'll be back to let you know. But I just wanted to walk through that and share the idea that how we conceptualize and relate to authority in our lives is going to have a lot to do with the quality and the power, the quality of our lives and the power we have within our lives. And I would like us all to feel a little more empowered. That's part of being connected with ourselves and each other and being able to navigate to wherever it is we're going to be able to live the richest and fullest lives possible. All right, so that's what I got for that. Thank you as always. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next round. Take care.